get right down to business today, huh? You guys remember my the video before the one I just put out called Obama's Attack on the Soul of America? Well, it got removed, it says, for inappropriate content. Now, you guys know that I don't even swear in my videos. I don't put music in my videos anymore. And I only talk about news stories. And if you remember, that story was about Democrats' 9/11 plan to blast right-wing terror, where I showed you that the White House put out on whitehouse.gov a document that stated that anyone that doubted or protested the health care plan was a terrorist, not just somebody that they needed to debate or something like that, but they actually call them domestic terrorists. Okay, all of you. First they called you AstroTurf, right? When you dared stand up. Then, right? They called you racist. They called you low-level terrorists. They said protesting was terrorism. They said that it was set up by a bunch of different people when it was clearly just y'all voicing your opinions. And let me explain something to you. This was set to be done on 9/11, okay? And I got pictures here for you, and I'm going to insert them. And I know I talked about it before, but they removed this, and they removed it for a reason. Okay? Now, number one, right, they are calling you right-wing domestic terrorists. Now, I want to make sure that you understand what they're calling you, because they're planning a big phone call swamping of all the congressmen on 9/11, and they're telling all of their people to not go out at all on 9/11. Do you understand what that means? They're telling their supporters to not be out on 9/11. Yeah, they're telling them to make calls, but there's another reason they don't want them out on 9/11. Okay? Now, there's been lots of rumors that 9/11 is going to be the day that they kick off their event that's going to let them declare martial law. And so they don't want any of their people caught up in it. So they gave them this warning, and then they took it down. But I want you to understand what they're comparing people to here. Okay, these people that protested health care, and these people that went to the tea parties, right? You guys went there with signs and felt tip pins, okay, stating your displeasure at the massive $23 trillion they've given to the banks that destroyed our economy on purpose. Okay, they are saying that you're the same as the people that flew the planes into the World Trade Center and killed all those people. They're comparing you, those killers, to people with signs drawn with felt tip pins who haven't killed a single person. Okay, now that was the extent of the video they took out, was me pointing out that they haven't killed a single person. Now, the article is over at WorldNet Daily, and I'll insert the link so that you can look at it again. This video must be terribly important if they took it down. And if their reason was to say that it had inappropriate content, because my videos never do. Which means that somebody sent them on a false flagging attack on just that particular video, because I've got lots of videos that had lots of different content in it. But I want you to understand something, right? They're bringing home 400,000 troops to patrol the streets. And I will insert that along here. They're not bringing home 400,000 troops because nothing's going to happen. Okay? And now I've showed you all along here about how I have a couple videos on indefinite detention and how they're describing who needs to be held indefinitely. And then I inserted some footage of WTVR, Channel 5, right, of an article they ran where they were rounding up protesters. It was a drill where they were drilling with police, which is against the law. It is against federal law, and I've showed you in several videos, and I'm going to insert the footage along here because that must scare them too. They don't want you to know that that's against the law. They don't want you to know it's against posse comitatus, and they're doing it everywhere. Okay? And they are training, and I want you to pay specific attention to what Specialist Halsey said. Okay, and I pointed this out. Those two commas in that sentence made it clear that they weren't talking about demonstrators that they gathered together to be demonstrators. They were talking about how they went and rounded up these demonstrators. And who were these demonstrators? Vaccine resistors, people that were against the healthcare policies, and they've done this several times before. The MIAC report, right? Which is from a fusion center. It's a fusion of federal lawmakers, federal police, and state police. Okay, and they put out a report that put down all environmentalists, every type of religion, any viewpoint that you had, whether it be on abortion, whether it be for animals, anything, made you a terrorist. And so they apologized and took it down and fired the person that wrote it. Okay, and then they came out with the Department of Homeland Security lexicon, where they again labeled you all as terrorists. They labeled the militia movement. They labeled the patriot movement by name. They label all environmental groups by name, whether it be animal rights, whether it be just environmental in general, whether it be pro-choice or pro-life. You are all listed as terrorists. And then they took that down and said they didn't mean it. And the White House had deniability. They kept saying, oh, they weren't supposed to do that, and we're going to take care of this. And so they fired somebody, and then they made Janet Napolitano take down the lexicon. But the White House came out with this themselves. Organizing for America. This came from the White House, and it's a warning to stay home. They put it in all caps. Stay home for this event. Do not go anywhere. This is for 9/11. Okay? And then it says, what day? Our U.S. senators return to D.C. Tuesday after Labor Day. The next Friday, September 11th, is Patriot Day, designated in memory of the nearly 3,000 who died in the 9/11 attacks. All 50 states are coordinating in this as we fight against our own right-wing domestic terrorists, and it's in red, you can see it, who are subverting the American democratic process, whipped into a frenzy by their Fox propaganda network. This is from Barack Obama, the White House. His name is at the top. You cannot deny that it's him doing it. Okay? You have had deniability up to this point. Now you know for a fact it's them. You need to stand up. You need to insert them magazines and rack back the slide and lock and load a shell. And stand in their face, nose to nose, and tell them, no. And be prepared to back it up. You all think you can take my videos down for no reason and that's going to silence us. And you think that that's going to stop us. But let me tell you something. My videos get uploaded all over the net and people see them everywhere. And they watch them because I don't lie. And I don't embellish on the facts. I simply report them as they are. And I know you don't like me saying what I'm saying. Because you don't want folks to stand up. You don't want folks to see that people are not afraid of you. Okay? And trust me, I am not afraid of you. Now, folks, they are calling you the same thing as the folks that took down those buildings. But not just those buildings, the folks that blew up planes and hijacked other planes to get terrorists released. They're saying that signs and felt tip pins are the same as bombs and guns and killing people. Strapping bombs to yourself and blowing people up. Not only is it not even in the realm of possibility or even in the same world of the same thing, but they are terrified of you putting that two and two together. Folks, you need to wake up. Okay, you may disagree with somebody's politics, but that doesn't mean you call them a terrorist because they have a sign. No sign ever killed somebody. Signs are just paper and words. And the reason they want to call you a terrorist is because they're lying and they can't stand up to the words. And because you are the majority. And they don't want you to realize that you're the majority. Well, you need to start getting loud. I can't do this myself. They took down my one video for nothing. For this right here. Took it down. Which means they can take my channel down next. I don't want to be a lone voice crying in the darkness. I know there's millions of you like me. Millions of you that got big, giant, cast iron cojones. So you know what, folks? You need to get in their face. And you know what? You need to let them hear that sound that the slide makes when you rack it back on your 12 gauge. Clickety clack. Rack the slide back. Because that's what time it is. When they start doing this to our free speech, and they start doing this to doing the kind of things that they're doing, calling you terrorists, because believe me, once they've labeled you a terrorist, they can take your citizenship and hold you indefinitely.